All right, we're gonna jump right in, everybody. Sorry to get started a little late. If you've been to any of these with me before, I like to start on time, but had a little bit of an issue getting rolling. But nonetheless, here we are. Let's party. Tonight we are talking about how to grow your practice profit without adding more days, more hours, or more chaos. I think a lot of us are in this mindset. We've always been in it. I've seen it with dentists over and over again, is that we feel like, man, I'm doing pretty good 4 days a week. The next logical step to make more money is to open up the fifth day, to open up Fridays. And I want to challenge that idea because it's just not true. I mean, sure, I guess opening up Fridays could allow you to make more money, but it does take on additional overhead. And who wants to just work an unlimited amount of hours? I mean, just because we can work more hours doesn't mean we necessarily should. And in all reality, we're missing a lot of opportunities. All of us. You're missing opportunities. I'm missing opportunities. All of us are missing opportunities to some extent at our office, just some of us more than others. So the profit is there. It is ready for us to take it. We don't have to hunt it down. We don't have to go looking. We can just, we all we have to do is a little bit of an assessment, take a good hard assessment of where we're at and figure out where we want to go. So that's what tonight's going to be about. If anyone's got any questions in the meantime, you can throw those into the chat. I will take all those questions. I may not stop right at that time doing it, but nonetheless, I will answer your question. So let's get rolling here. All right. So, I am the host of the Dental Practice Heroes podcast. Obviously, you probably know that because that's probably how you heard about the webinar. We have our 7-phase Omni Practice system. This is what me and Dr. Henry Ernst and Dr. Steve Markowitz have developed over the past 3 years. And as far as we're concerned, this is the way we are finding it is the easiest, the best to get offices to easily implement all of the systems that we have designed and what we're calling now the DPH operating system. It is a way of running your practice. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But obviously, I've got my 2 books there. They're for sale on Amazon, and we have the podcast. You guys all should know who I am because you came from the podcast. Now, for those who made it live, this is only for the live people. If you're going to watch the recording, you're not going to get this. But if you're here live and you stay till the end, I will give this to you as a free gift. Dental Practice Heroes, we are about optimization of every single element of your practice. That's kind of what tonight is about in a lot of ways. We're talking about optimizing everything. But I am going to give you my phone tree and auto attendant guide. This is going to be all the scripts that we use in our phone tree to optimize this somewhat small part of our practice, but something that can nonetheless make a big difference in the amount of workload that our front desk is taking on, the amount of conversions for new patients we have, and our treatment acceptance comes a lot from this. So there's a lot of missed opportunities in the way that we design our phone system. So I am going to give this to you. This is just one of the many documents that you would get if you were a full-on coaching client. We've got one of these guides for so many elements of the practice, and as time goes on, we keep building more and more of those. So I will throw that link into the chat when we get towards the end of the seminar. If you're watching the recording, it's not going to appear. The chat's not going to be part of it. So sorry. You got to show up live for the good stuff. All right. So how do we increase profit? I mean, we're already overwhelmed, right? We're already, at our wits' end, where sometimes we know there's a lot of things going on in our practice that could really use some energy from us. But with what time? I mean, we don't have time. So what do we usually say? Well, we start to focus on these things that, well, to increase profit, I need more stuff that I don't already have. I need more clinical days. I need to put in more hours. I'm obsessed. I need more new patients, obviously. I don't have enough new patients. If I had more new patients, I could have the right amount of profit. Maybe I need to learn how to do all in X or implants or something like that. Maybe it's just I'm not busy enough because I'm just doing bread and butter dentistry, and I need more complex things. That's how people are making more profit. But ultimately, it comes down to, we think that we need to put in more personal effort, and I'm going to show you by the end of tonight is that I don't think it requires more effort. It shouldn't require more effort. It's a little bit more about focusing on some different things. But it's not more effort. Making more money should not be more effort. And what most people find when they work with us is that once they get the systems rolling and stuff, Everything works better with a lot less effort. So, what I'm going to suggest, how do we make or increase our profit? We got to capture more of the existing dollars. Existing is the word I want to stress. Existing dollars with the existing patients that already exist in our practice. They're already there. They're already there and it's ready for us to take it. We just have to focus on that. So you don't need anything more additional. Now, is it help to have more new patients? Of course it does. Does it help to be able to do a larger clinical suite of more procedures? Yes, that is something that you will get very rewarded for that, especially if you can build an associate driven practice in which everybody takes the lower level, lower profit procedures and you just keep the more higher level stuff that you like to do. But do you need it? No, absolutely not. We need to fix the leaks. There's a million of them. We're going to talk about the top 5 tonight, and I'm going to give you another 5 after that are bonus ones as well. So when we talk about profit, what are we really saying? If we don't have enough profit, we're saying essentially that we've got too many expenses in our practice relative to the amount of revenue. And what often happens is we look at our profit and loss that our accountant gives us. And I can tell you from working with people, I see these profit and losses. I see them from a ton of different accountants. And typically a dental accountant is going to give you a very useful report that's usable for dentistry. But if you don't have a dental accountant, and I'm not saying you need a dental accountant, but I'm saying if you don't have a dental accountant, I work with a lot of people and they have this profit and loss that it's like, if you can look at your profit and loss and you don't know what to do with it, it's not organized correctly. It should be a report that is actionable that you can look at and see things categorized in a way that you can make decisions based on what is the profitability of your practice and what expenses are too large as a percentage of your revenue. But when we're seeing a practice where we say, okay, we don't have enough profit, we're saying our expenses are too high relative to our revenue. And so that'll be our fixed expenses, like such as our rent is too high, like our rent and our fees that we pay to the insurance. I'm talking about like insurance, like liability insurance, the fees that we pay to our CPA. All of those fixed expenses that we have to pay every year, those are higher than they should be. Our payroll is always higher than it should be. We want payroll that's less than 25%. I will allow you go to 30% of collections, but anything higher than that, it's just unnecessary. And so our payroll is higher than 25%. It's higher than 30%. What's going on? So we've got to ask ourselves, we're not having enough profit because our payroll is so high and our fixed expenses are so high. But in reality, if we step outside and we zoom out a little bit, I mean, are we really paying our team too much? And is our rent and our supplies and our labs, is it all just like too expensive? Like, is our lack in profit due to those things, or is it something else? Because I like this idea, this analogy of this engine. We got to think about is our practice is like an engine. Okay. We put the fuel in, and the engine converts the fuel into distance. The car is going to travel a certain distance. So essentially, fuel goes in, distance should come out, and in your practice, the fuel is going to be all of the things you're paying for. That's going to be your payroll. That's going to be your supplies, your marketing, all those stuff, your patient demand, all the stuff that costs you money. Those are the inputs that are going into it. And the distance traveled is going to be our revenue. So if the car burns, we fill that car up full of gas, and we get 50 miles and it's empty, you wouldn't say, we just need more gas. You'd say something's not working here. We're losing efficiency somewhere. Something is wrong with the way that this engine is converting the fuel into movement. And this is what happens in the dental practice. The payroll starts to feel too high when the practice is essentially not producing enough from the people that you already have. So the solution is not more people. It's not to pay them less. It's to produce enough. The rent's going to feel too high when you're not using your facility to its fullest potential, when you're not getting the proper distance out of the inputs. So the issue is that your practice is not converting enough of these expenses into production, revenue, and profit. You don't need more fuel. You need a better engine. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to create a better engine here. Okay. So I want you to have a big sort of like reframe in your mind here. is that we're not doing a complete practice overhaul. It doesn't require that. I want you to think, what if we just did 5%, right? What if we increased just 5% at our practice? What if we just had a 5% better conversion of new patients over the phone? Just 5%, nothing major. What if we had 5% fewer cancellations and no-shows? I see a lot of offices running 15, 20%. Cancellations, no-shows, people canceling last minute. What if we saw 5% better case acceptance? You know that most people are getting a dollar for dollar case acceptance about 30 to 35%, meaning for every dollar they treatment plan, roughly 30 to 35% of those will get completed. That's horrible, right? That's pretty bad to think that 2/3 of the things we recommend to our patients don't even ever get done. What if we get 5% better collections? What if we could be more efficient in our time? We could do 5% more procedures. We could fit them in the day better execution. 5% better patient experience, more referrals. So think about this. If we do 5%, I just put 6 things up there, okay? So 6 things, 5% better. If we do 5% better, of 5% better, of 5% better, 5% better, that ends up being 34% better. It just took a little bit of an increase in each of these areas that we're leaking profits in. So it's not a big overhaul. It's just doing a little bit better in all of these things. So I'll give you an example. Let's say your payroll is too high. Your payroll is at 32%. Now I said we want that under 25%. In certain circumstances, I think 30 is okay, but we want it under 25%. That is going to be the number that it is decided that will get a good profit margin, enough for the owner. Our team wins, everybody wins, patients win, everyone wins. That's what we want. So we got a $1 million practice with a 32% payroll, team payroll. So that means $320,000 a year we're paying in payroll. Now let's say we did 5% better in 6 areas and we got that 34% increase in revenue out of just doing a little bit better in a few areas. So if we increase our output, our revenue by 34%, we didn't change any of our expenses. Where are we going to end up at? Well, 1.34 million. So I'm picking 34% because that was the previous example. What happens to our existing payroll of $320,000 a year when we get to the point of 1.34 million? Well, our payroll that was too high all of a sudden is now 23.9%. And that's the point I want you to really understand, is that a lot of our lack in profit, it's not due to anything that we're paying too much for. It's about we're losing money. Our engine is inefficient. So let's make 2 assumptions here. First of all, we already have all the inputs we need. You don't need more people. You don't need to change anything you don't need more new patients. You don't need any of that stuff. You have it in your practice. The other assumption being is that we're failing in our conversion of inputs to output. So what we're saying is that there's inefficient parts of our practice that if we could just slightly improve them, each of them, we could experience massive results in profit. And that's one of the things about profit is it's not a linear relationship. When you get to a certain zone of production relative to your expenses, your profit goes up huge but you've got to get to that zone. And I would say for most solo dental practice owners, that zone's like between about 1.5 to 2 mil. Okay. If you can get your first associate in there and you can get your office to about 3 million, that is a really sweet profit spot right there. That's where, and then after you get past that, what tends to happen is that your profits as a percentage start getting smaller, but a smaller piece of a bigger pie. You still make more money, but you lose that efficiency. So we're going to do these things. We're going to go and fix all these inefficient parts of our practice, right? Don't hate on me about the Monster drink there. I know I shouldn't drink those for my teeth, but I don't care. Anyway, so who is going to lead us through these changes? Who is going to lead the practice through these changes? Well, it's you. Who's the leader of the practice? You are the leader of the practice, right? You are the person doing everything. You're the person who's going to notice the problems. You're the person that's bringing the ideas to the team and saying, hey, this is what I've been thinking about. I've been thinking we could do better here. What do you guys think? You're the one that's checking on things. Hey, did we do that? Did that lab case get out? Are we ready for tomorrow? Is Mrs. Jones' case in here? You're the one reminding the team. Guys, I don't know why I got to tell you every day, but it's morning huddle time again. And you guys, where are you guys? You're tracking people down. You are going to be the main person. As the leader, you're the main person that's responsible for everything: the production, the culture, the accountability, how the patients flow. Everything goes to you. So let me ask you this. If it's so easy and it's only 5%, why aren't you increasing every little thing by 5% already? I mean, it seems easy enough. It should be easy. And why isn't it though? It's because you've already got a full plate. You're like, okay, yeah, I could increase by 5%. I see that it's possible, but um, with what time and what energy am I supposed to do this with? I'm already seeing patients 4 days a week. I mean, I got patient responsibilities. I've got a team that needs me and that's bringing things to me constantly. I've got the practice responsibilities. I got to make sure that everyone gets their payroll. And I've got life responsibilities. I've got a family that wants to see their mom or see their dad. Like, I got a husband, I got a wife, like, got life. So, well, if you're so busy, what about your team? Are they in the same situation? Or can they help with this as well? And the fact of the matter is they probably can, but you're the bottleneck. You become the bottleneck because you're the person that does all these things at the practice, but you don't have time to do this. You're too busy dentisting. And it's not like you're the bottleneck because you did anything wrong. I mean, you're never doing anything wrong. But this is the default operating system of a dental practice if that dental practice has not installed anything else to make the practice run differently. So the doctor is the bottleneck. Man, can we utilize the team? We need a different operating system. So what is an operating system? Just like the operating system that is on your computer, it makes everything run. It's the way things run. We can have that in our dental practice as well. And I'm going to explain to you what the Dental Practice Heroes operating system looks like in just a little bit here. But first, I want to talk about what are the most common profit leaks that we do see in our practices, because they're common. And I would tell you, I've been podcasting for 8, 9 years now. I've been coaching for 7, 8 years now. I've seen a lot of different practices. I've helped a lot of dentists. But I can tell you, number one profit leak that I see over and over again, it's poor scheduling. It is just the worst kinds of schedules. It is one of the simplest things to improve in your practice. And I mean, we're talking about 5% better. I would say most people that switch from whatever scheduling they're doing to Dental Practice Hero scheduling, I'm talking 35 to 50% increases overnight, pending you've got the patient demand to fill those schedules. But let's face it, most schedules are reactive. I mean, the day fills randomly. We just we have a patient, they show up at our office, we treatment plan something, we ask them when they can come in, and it goes. So our day fills randomly based on the things that we see. We ask the patients when a good time for them to come in is, and we stick them on the schedule. And what tends to happen is small appointments get prioritized. You might not feel that so you're prioritizing small appointments, but the fact of the matter is a small appointment can fit anywhere when we have no scheduling protocols. So it is prioritized. It's got a lot more flexibility to fit anywhere. It's like that little tugboat on Battleship. You can stick that thing anywhere. It's like the little single square on Tetris. It fits anywhere, right? So this might look like something like where the doctor and the team are busy. Everybody's running around. Everyone's busy all day, but not necessarily productive, because we're not hitting that higher level of production and revenue that's getting us to those profit zones that we want to be. So you got to ask yourself, I mean, what does my scheduling look like? Do I have a clear daily production goal? And is our scheduling system designed to meet that production goal? Or do we just have a goal and we hope we hit it? I mean, I'm teaching my 15-year-old how to drive right now. And, she was turning and I just started noticing, I'm like, sometimes you turn, you end up in the middle of the road. Sometimes you end up in the curb. Like, tell me what's going through your mind when you're turning this car? And she said, I just turned the wheel and I hope for the best. And I'm like, well, we've got to turn the wheel and see, are we overturning? Do we need more turn or less turn? We've got to adjust on the way. We can't just hope for the best. Same thing with our schedule. We can't just hope it just works out. Let's get intentional about it. Let's adjust. Let's pivot on the way. Does your team even know what a productive day looks like? Do they know what it feels like? So I tell you, like when we set up DPH scheduling and somebody has a really productive day and they're like, wow, that was a really chill day too. And it was a hell of a lot of fun. That's a productive day. We can do it. Let's do it every day. Is everybody on the team on board with that? Yeah, hell yeah, they are, because it feels good to do that. Is it also very profitable? Hell yeah, it's also profitable too. But it allows us to go through our day in a very chill way, and that takes great care of our patients, and everybody wins. All right, leak number 2. Cancellations. 15 to 25% hygiene appointments are canceled, or they just no show, or they reschedule last minute. 15 to 25% I'm seeing. And I've seen worse. This has been worse ever since COVID happened. On the doctor side, I mean, it's not as bad as hygiene, but there's a lot more potential for it to be more devastating. We can have a single cancellation that can account for sometimes 25-40% of our daily production is in that one appointment. And if that person cancels, we're screwed. And let's think about it this way. Every time somebody cancels for us, we've already got a team that's at their wits' end. They're already working. They're already busy. Their plates are full. Every time we have a cancellation, that creates more work for the team. And we're saying, okay, you've got to fill this appointment. You've got to call this person back, get them back on the schedule. You're going to schedule another appointment because now the person's calling to reschedule. There's more work. We have to chase down patients. And so we're asking for more output from our team with no increase in the resources. So it makes sense when we also have these profit leaks. We can also see how this creates more work for our team, and it makes it appear that we're more busy, that we're understaffed, when in reality, we're just not utilizing our staff to the fullest extent. So, these are one of those things that's frustrating. It affects our culture. So when we're looking at our practice as an owner, as a CEO of your practice, do you know what the cancellation rate is? Do you have a cancellation system? What is your cancellation system? Is it just to charge people $50, $75? Because think about it, we want to be more proactive, right? When we're charging money to patients who cancel, that's a reactive system. We want to be proactive. We want to address it. Hey, like when we set that appointment, hey, Mr. Jones, like this is our cancellation appointment, or this is our cancellation policy. We want to make sure we can take care of everybody. And if you can't make it, we want to make sure you give us enough notice so we can give this appointment to someone else. So can you promise me that you will attend this appointment? And if you can't, you will give us plenty of notice, talking about 48 hours notice, so that we can fill this. And then you wait. Mr. Jones goes, yeah, of course. That's how we proactively solve it. When we're trying to solve it by threatening to charge somebody at the end or charging them at all, we're just pissing off a patient. Nothing good comes from it. It's reactive. So we're not really attacking the issue in the right spot, but we lose a lot of money in cancellations. And it's unfortunate. It really sucks. And it sucks especially if you've got a practice where you've got nowhere to stick people. And there are people that want to come in and see you. There's people that want to come to your dental office to get their teeth cleaned, to see you for a visit, to get some work done. And you're booking them out, but then you're going to show up and 15 to 25% of your schedule is going to disappear every day. That sucks. Do we have a system for same-day fills? What do we do when we get a cancellation? Who's in charge of taking that over to make sure we can fill that as soon as possible? So it's another area of a lot of leakage. Leak number 3, poor case acceptance. I already said, like most offices, we operate at 30%, and we're like, good enough. Fine, 30%. 30% is atrocious, but we accept it as it's supposed to be. That's normal. It's our patients are going to decide whether or not they're going to say yes based on the trust that we can give them, based on our confidence, how clear we are in our expectation or in our explanations. And what I have found more than anything else, it's the urgency that we can create. We're taking dental problems that people can't see, they're in their mouths, and they don't hurt. So we've got to kind of make that an urgent problem when they're like, I didn't even know I had this. I don't feel it. What's the urgency? That's the challenge we're up against. And that's why most offices will operate at 30%. But, it takes a team. Everybody plays a part in this. Everybody is part of the case acceptance and they play a role in this. But if you look at this from a statistics standpoint, if we're only getting 30% case acceptance, meaning 30% of every dollar we treatment plan gets completed, every year, you're leaving 70% of diagnosed treatment is not getting treated. And if you're $1 million office, That means $2 million. You treatment plan $2 million that year that didn't get done if you're only getting 30%. Okay. So it's one of those things. Are we creating with our team systems for a common way of explaining and communicating the need that our patients have? Are we training our front desk and our admin team on how to close treatment, how to present treatment, how to have an attitude of patient advocacy versus just here's your numbers, here's your insurance, and here's what it costs, here's what you pay out? Are we giving them the skills they need to convert the patients? Now, more than anything else in the office, the presenting doctor is going to have the largest effect on this. But remember, we're talking about 5% increase. Can we get a 5% increase? What's a 5% increase in $1 million office doing 30% case acceptance? Well, a 5% increase at a $3 million treatment plan. Well, shit, that's a lot. It's $150,000 right there, right? I don't even know if I did that right, but it sounds right to me. Okay, let's roll with it. Yeah, it's 150K. So big. So we're talking about 5% increase. Could working with your front desk do a 5% increase? Yeah, it could. Could working on yourself and your communication skills give you a 5% increase? Yeah, probably get you a 10-15% increase, to be honest. So are we following up on this unscheduled treatment? There's another big opportunity. So it's everyone plays a part in this. Case acceptance, it's not just one conversation. It is the cumulative result of all of the conversations that are happening inside your practice. All right, leak number 4, our patient flow and our patient experience. Do we have the ability to move through our day efficiently without chaos? So many practices that I work with operate each day behind anywhere from 5 to an hour. 5 minutes to an hour, we're behind all day. Why? What is going on there? Why can't we fix that so that we can handle that? We can have a better patient experience. We can get through, we can add more same day stuff. Patient flow, weak handoffs. Weak handoffs don't only just confuse the team member that's taking the patient from here. It results in the patients get an impression of, wow, this place is not very together. I can tell you, I've heard this from a few of my friends saying like experiences that have happened at my practice that it seemed like somebody didn't know what they were doing or a certain department didn't have their stuff together at my office. I'm talking about my front desk. And it was all based on just the impression that they got from a weak handoff. That's what it came from. It was like, no, they totally know what they're doing. There was confusion during the handoff. So little things like that make a big difference. Do we have how's the conversion on our front end from when, a lot of people, we look at their phone answering and it's like 50%. Well, wow, what's a 5% increase in that? Is it hard to go from 50% answer rate to 85%? Not really. I mean, it takes a little focus and a little bit of leadership and a little bit of like acknowledgement that it's an issue, but that's a big one. Okay. A lot of times in offices, we don't have the clear next steps. We don't know what is the next thing the patient's supposed to be doing. The patient senses that as well. It affects our case acceptance. I mean, it just comes down to the same thing as our existing patients. They're underutilized. We're not getting the proper amount out of our existing patients. And also, do we even have a reactivation, a recall? Do we have any kind of recare accountability? Are we tracking these numbers, and is somebody responsible for those numbers? So these are all these things. Like I feel like I'm throwing a lot of things at you. But what I'm trying to show you is that there's so many spots to get that 5%, to get that huge result. All right, let's talk about leak number 5. Team productivity. We know this. Our team is busy, but not productive. Okay. I just talked to a doctor on the phone recently and about a $4 million office with 3 full-time doctors. That's great. $4 million for 3 full-time doctors. But I mean, were they busy? She said, yeah, they're busy. But I mean, he acknowledged it too, is that, well, how much could we do better? Could we be more productive with that? And I mean, yeah, with 3 full-time doctors, could we have like a $5.2 million office, 5.5? We sure could. I think so. I think that's a reasonable number. But what do you think the profit's going to be with a $4 million office versus the $5.2 million office? We're talking about a swing of $1.2 million. But the thing is it's not apples to apples. Because I said it's not a linear relationship of profit. When you add that other $1.2 million in revenue, that your profit margin on that additional 1.2 is so much larger than it was on the first 4. So Think about this. We want to make sure that we're at the right level of productivity. Do we have clear roles? Does our team, this comes up a lot for the admin team, do they get too many interruptions? Ask your front desk team if they get too many interruptions. I guarantee the answer is yes. And it is. And that's just the nature of the job. But can we organize a structure of the operating system that gives people some, silent time to work behind a closed door, perhaps in an office, where their productivity is like 2-3x what it would be sitting at the front desk with all the distractions? What is our feedback with our existing team to make sure that they become better, they're more trained, they're better at their jobs? What is our training rhythm? A lot of offices, we don't have an onboarding system. So what happens? We bring people onto this team. We throw them in the middle of everybody. We say, hey, ask questions when you need help. And they do it. They ask questions. And at the beginning, maybe the team members they ask the question to are having a really great day and they help them out and they're really helpful and they're excited to do it. But at a certain point, that new team member is going to ask a question to somebody and this person's going to go, come here, I'll show you how to do it. And then it's like, oh, gosh, I didn't like how that felt. I'm not going to ask questions anymore. I don't like how it feels. I don't want to be a pain to anybody. So that person stops asking questions. They don't get the training they need. And then they've been working there now 3-4 months. And now they don't want to ask any questions now because they're going to let in everybody know how little they know. And they know, I should know this. I've been here 3 months. They feel ashamed. What does that person then do? They continue to work in a job that they're untrained for. They don't feel good about what they're doing because they don't feel competent to do it, and they quit. And they go do something else. Maybe they go to another dental office. Maybe they go do a completely different career. And what are we left with? We're left understaffed. And then we get another person that comes in, and we got to do the same thing with them over and over again. We got to train them, but we don't want to train them. We just trained somebody. Why can't we keep anybody? So you can see how not having a systematized onboarding experience and protocol can lead to this cycle of turnover and this cycle of being understaffed and trying to train people when you're already understaffed. You can get stuck in this cycle. So we want to make sure that we have systems for that. We want to make sure that we're getting the proper amount of production and revenue out of our human capital. And what should it be? It should be 4 times. So for every dollar you pay your team, I'm talking about non-doctors, okay? Just non-doctor payroll. For every dollar you pay your team, you should collect 4. That's the rule. That's what you need to know. In that first, we said, okay, 32% payroll. That is not collecting $4 for every dollar. All right. If we want our payroll at 25%, and that would mean for every dollar we pay our team, we collect 4. That is the proper return on our human capital. And like I mentioned, the unnecessary turnover. I mean, I just kind of explained this turnover cycle. Somebody leaves, we're understaffed. Our team is stretched really thin, so they don't have time to train anybody. Weak onboarding, no support for our new hires, and our new hire leaves, leading to more turnover and an even more understaffed team. So you can get in these cycles. And I have people ask me this. They say, I love your idea of training. I love the training you provide for your front desk. I love the videos you have on your program. But I'm scared to pay my team members to watch them because I'm going to put all this time to them and they're going to leave. Well, I get the fear and I see where it comes from. But when you have the proper, system of management, cadence of communication, talking to your team and asking them certain questions in a certain way where they have outlets to address these things as they come up, you don't have that turnover. So you don't feel if you're focusing on the business the way that I feel like you should be, and you're focusing on communicating with your team proactively, meaning talking to them before there's a problem, you will have very little turnover and you will pour training into your team and you will have this amazing practice with systems and everybody knows what they're doing and they're operating at high capacity and you're keeping your people. But it starts with making a change. It starts with getting organized. All right, let's talk about a few other things. What else? We talked about the top 5. All right, 6, financial leaks, bad estimates, writing off balances, getting denials because of improper documentation or improper follow-up for appeals. Or, like I see all the time, people just don't check to follow ups. Our plus 90-day AR, we want that less than 10% of our total collections. It should be less than five even. It's a huge number, which essentially means nobody is accountable for it. Where's the system for that? Marketing leaks. We have poor messaging. No follow up on the people or prospective patients that are calling us. We don't have a growth strategy. We grow too soon. We grow our team too soon before we allow the production and revenue to catch up. Our doctor is just the producer. The doctor is not stepping into that CEO role that's so needed, and it's used in every single business in the world. There's somebody operating as the manager, but in the dental office, we don't. We say I got an office manager, but a lot of times that office manager is just a very skilled front desk employee. They're not managing. Who's managing? We need management. Communication strategies, just bad communication strategies. We're losing money. Profit leaks. And then the worst ones, the leadership leaks. There's no operating system. There's no ownership, no accountability, no follow through, all this stuff. There's so much left on the table. I talked about at the beginning, if we had a 5% increase in 6 areas, that would be 34%. But in reality, we've got potential for a 10 to 15% increase in probably 15 areas, 20 areas of our practice. So the potential is there. We just got to capitalize on it. So when we know this and we step back and we look at our practices from this lens, saying, where are we losing all this money? Why are we so obsessed with new patients? Why are we so obsessed with doing new procedures and trying new marketings and buying new equipments and cone beams and same day milling and stuff like that? Because that's going to make the big difference. That is what's going to make the big difference, not looking at all these little areas. And I truly believe there's no shame and there's no blaming. There's no I don't want you to feel bad about this. I don't want you to feel like you're doing anything wrong. But I think on some human level, we're obsessed with the new patients and the different procedures because it really allows us to avoid looking at the harder work of leadership and accountability and systems because we're just not well versed in it. It's not a comfortable area. We talk about having these difficult conversations all the time. We've got to have the difficult conversations with our team. We've got to talk to them about accountability. Why do we put off having those difficult conversations, and why are they difficult at all? Well, they're difficult because we've had a few conversations like that, and the results that we get are very unpredictable. Sometimes it goes really well. Other times it goes horrible. And we're like, God, that didn't go how I wanted it to go. The reason being is because we've never received the training and we don't have the system for it. We don't have it set up in a way where it is predictable. So once you get that, you start to approach these conversations a little bit differently. It starts just to be another day at the office. Eventually, if you follow DPH principles, you get a leadership team and you can get to the point where you never have to have those conversations personally anymore because your leads have them, and they have them with grace and empathy and forgiveness, and they do it in a way it is effective. So the big realization I want you to have is that the potential here is massive. All right. And I'm just going to show you just a few, these are regular dental practice heroes clients. I'm not showing you my highlight reel of just the people that have had good results. These are consistent results. Dr. Matt, this is an 800K, doing 800K a year and then jumped up to 1.6. And when all these things people, it's not that just revenue goes up. Their life gets easier, the stress. Dr. Ryan Bradley, 150, went from 1.4 to 3 million. And it was within a year. These are the kind of things. Dr. Isaac, this guy turned over his whole entire team, acquired this practice and he had this one hygienist that was just the boss, man. He's not going to do anything, not changing anything. This is the way we're going to do it. This is the way we've done it for years. Young kid comes in here. He's new owner. We hate him. No, Isaac, we're not going to do that. And if you let me go or if you fire me, I'm going to tell everyone in this town that you suck and your practice is going to go to crap. Well, he had to. He had to let that person go, and he eventually turned over that entire team, and he rebuilt it with new people that were down with the culture he wanted, that were down with the way that he wanted to take care of people, and he doubled his practice. Huge, Dr. Alex, she's in Kentucky. I can't remember if she's in Kentucky or Tennessee. I can't remember. Gosh, Alex, I'm so sorry. Huge increase. And this was all 65% increase in revenue from going 4.5 days a week to 3 days a week. How do you even do that? All right. It's because there's so much potential there. So it's really not just one thing, but it is kind of just one thing. Like it's not just like one like thing. It's like all these different areas. But what is the one common undercurrent under there? It's the leadership. It's the operating system. It's the way that you run the things in your office, in the way that you implement change. That's going to be the X factor for you. So if you're looking at this and you're saying, I get it, I see that my practice has these profit leaks. I mean, what is the next step? What do I typically see? What do we see in practices? Like, what are the stages they go through? So like I mentioned, it's for a solo practice owner, it's about 1.5 to 2 million. That's where you get those good profit margins. That's where you get to the level you're like, okay, I'm seeing my overhead is getting to a healthy level. That's where you got to be. Now, if you're running like 1 million to 1.2 million, you're making money. I get it. You're doing well. You're probably doing better than you were, or pretty close to better than you were as an associate, but you haven't hit that level of exceeding those fixed expenses to hit that really nice profit margin yet. Then after you hit that 1.5 to 2 million, the next big step in increasing your profit is you have a systematized office and you transition yourself to not being the only producer there. You bring on your first associate. And that is where I really think the biggest profit margin is, percentage wise. Okay. Is you got like maybe a 5-6 op practice, you've got two producers there, maybe you got 4 or 5 hygienists. You can find a really good profit margin there as long as you're utilizing all those areas. You're getting the proper return on your human capital, things like that. Then after that, it's scaling the business, and you as the owner, you're transitioning yourself to whatever level of dentisting you want to do. And for me at this point in my life, that's 2 days of ortho a month. But I'm doing all this stuff, okay? If I wasn't doing coaching and the podcast, I think 2 days of ortho a month would get pretty boring for me. I would need something else to be doing with my life. I'm not saying that's how much you should practice, but I'm saying that's the level I want to practice now. I would say most of my clients, they're about 2 days a month, or I'm sorry, 2 days a week, 2.5 days a week, 2 to 2.5 days a week. That seems to be the sweet spot in dentistry. But to do this stuff, you need an operating system. You need a leadership team. And for me, I did my leadership team in 2018. Okay. I picked 4 people. I had my office manager. I had a lead front desk. I had my lead dental assistant. I had my lead hygienist. And I said, you guys are my new leaders. Okay. I can't run this practice all by myself anymore. I need some help. Everybody, I hope the whole team understands. Please bring all your problems to these people. And what had happened is the team started bringing these problems to my leaders who were supposed to solve the problems, but they weren't at the level of comfort just taking those problems and solving them on their own quite yet. So they still brought them to me. So I was trying to find the solution for being the person to solve every problem. And what I did is I pretty much just took my problems and 5X them. I gave my team more ways to get problems to me. I made it more efficient for them to tell me about their problems. That isn't what I wanted to do. I was still caring too much. Everything still went through me. So that's when I came back after COVID, about 2021. I feel like I hit this stride where I said, you know what, I'm going to really rethink the way I'm running this leadership team because something's not working well. And it was the operating system. Okay. And it was developing the skills of my leaders and my team so that they could feel comfortable having those leadership conversations, having those accountability conversations, and then them being accountable to me for certain numbers and stuff that they owned. So it's a whole structure of this operating system. So what I want you to ask yourself is, what do you want from your business? Don't let that one hygienist, like I mentioned with Dr. Isaac, don't let that one hygienist that just wants to dig their feet in and draw the line in the sand and say, we're not changing. We're not doing it that way. We've never done it that way. Don't let that person dictate your practice. You are a practice owner. You took the risk. You took the money. You took the loan out. It's your ass out on the line. You can have the practice that you want. And I assure you, any level of leadership skills. You can do it. You just need to know what to do. You just need that operating system. You don't need to have to be some big charismatic leader or anything like that. You just need to put the principles in place, follow the recipe. So, what is the Dental Practice Heroes operating system? Well, it's operating system. We have clear numbers, clear goals. Of course, there's clear ownership for certain things. Who is ownership? Who's owning the different parts of the practice, and what do we want them to do? How do we meet and make sure we're meeting our goals? There's a leadership rhythm. There's like, we are meeting. We have to slow down to speed up. We have to slow down and communicate as a team and plan. Now, what happens? Oh, gosh, well, we can't stop and plan. We're too busy producing. You're not too busy producing. If you could slow down for 1 hour a week to do some planning so that you could increase your production by 35 to 50%, I assure you it's worth that 1 hour a week. We have department level systems. How do we do everything in each department, and who's responsible for doing it? This is all part of the system. And we get a full team that's really trained in communication. And how do we communicate with each other, but also how do we communicate with our patients? And this is, these communication skills that we teach in Dental Practice Heroes, it's not just for the office. Helps you with your spouse, with your kids. These are just general problem solving communication skills. Let's be clear. Communication sent equals communication received. And we're going to show you how to have accountability so people actually do what they're supposed to be doing. So what all these intentions that you have actually turn into results. And when you do this, when you put this level of intentionality into your practice, everything becomes easier and your turnover becomes almost zero, because everybody knows, like, this is a special place to work and I really enjoy being here. And nobody's freaking out. Nobody's melting down. Nobody's going to work and spending their whole day stressed out. The culture's good because everything's working good because everybody is communicating in a way that we designed because we are intentional about it. So just to give you something tactical, because I want you to know how to put leadership team into your system, into your practice, because when your team knows how to lead, when they know how to lead systems, that's when you stop being that only engine for improvement. So what do? Well, we install that leadership team, right? Cool. Pick the people, put them in the leadership team, introduce them to the team, explain why you're doing this at your practice so people understand that this is good for the team and good for the patients. It's not just giving them another boss. Okay. We tell you how to do this. Install the management systems. This is this is the hierarchy. Who's responsible for what? We pick this. We're very clear about it. Everybody knows there's accountability. Then we install the communication systems. How do we talk to each other? How often are we talking to each other? And when we have these certain meetings, what are we talking about so that everything is covered? And then what we're going to do is we're going to go, you want to know how things are done at your practice? You want to know where there's inefficiencies? Go watch the work get done. Go sit up at your front desk. Go sit up and watch, just be a fly on the wall at your practice. When you watch the work get done, you will see where the inefficiencies are. And essentially, you're going to create the problem list. You're going to look at it and you're going to say, this is a problem. This is an area of inefficiency. This is another area of an inefficiency. And you'll look at those problems. That should have said create the problem list. That's a typo. Create the problem list, and you look at this list and you'll say, okay, what are we going to do first? What are we going to solve? Who's going to solve it? What are you going to do? And when are you going to get it done by? You committed to it. Let's write it down, because we're going to follow up and make sure that you did what you said you were going to do. Because think about this. Think of your practice in every little system. We talked about all those areas where you're leaking money. Think of them like a factory. Or do you remember back in chemistry class, we had that rate limiting step, which means the rate limiting step is that slow step. So it's always going to be the one that determines the full output. So if we look at these 3 steps at this factory, we got step 1 is 100 units an hour. Then the rate limiting step is 20 units an hour. Step 3, 100 units an hour again. But I don't care if we're adding more new patients. Okay. So I look at step 1, that's our inputs. That's the new patients coming in. That's our team. That's all that stuff. Step 2 is you, the leader of the practice, the leadership systems. That is the bottleneck. It doesn't matter how many new patients you bring into this practice at step 1, it will be limited by you and your leadership. So the entire system is limited to 20 units an hour. You get step one up to 200 units an hour. You get step three up to 200, 300 units an hour. It doesn't matter. It can't go faster than 20 units an hour. So in most practices, I mean, it's not the marketing, it's not the equipment, it's not the clinical skill, it's the leadership capacity. It's the doctor trying to be the producer while also trying to be the manager. You can't do both. So let's think about this. We take this and we install this operating system and we change our leadership capacity by using other leaders. And then we do this. We multiplied step two. We've got 5 parallel units that can easily handle 20 units per hour. Now, guess what? Now our total output went up. This is what it's like. So we're going to fix all these little profit leaks, but when you try to fix them alone, you are not nearly as effective versus if you have a team behind you that can do it. Now, I have 4 people on my leadership team. I have a team of 35 people. Most people don't have a big team like that. So if you've got a team, maybe it's 5, maybe it's 10 people, your leadership team is likely not going to be 5 people, including yourself. I guess you've included me and my associate partner that has equity in the practice. We have a 6-person leadership team, you could say. But in a small practice, it should be you and 1 or 2 other people. And just you'll find out what the right level is, but it shouldn't just be you, because then you're the bottleneck. So you want to multiply your leadership potential, your leadership capacity. So now that you are not the only one watching the cancellations, you're not the only one making sure that there's follow-up on the patients, you're not the only one holding the team accountable, you're not the only one solving the problems. I mean, you get your leadership team in place, usually you're not even the one hearing about the problems. That's a beautiful thing. So you create these and you multiply the leaders that each own different parts of your system, which is your entire operating system. And so the practice, I mean, starts moving a lot faster, but with more ease, without the doctor pushing harder, without more effort. So that's why we've created this. And I'm going to share this with you. This is coming up in October. I'm sorry, this is coming up in July, in just a few weeks, our leadership intensive. So, we got to say, what do you really want as an owner in your practice? I mean, you want leaders other than you to stop waiting for you and to start just taking action without your guidance. The last thing you need is like that, what I created with my first leadership team, is more people to bring you problems. That was my first version of a leadership team. I just gave my team more outlets to bring me problems. That's not what you want. You might have this team full of great people, but if they're not trained to lead and they're not trained to handle these kind of things, everything's still going to roll back to you as the leader of the practice. And it's like, say, your office manager. It's not that your office manager doesn't care. It's just that often nobody has ever taught them how to become a true proactive leader of a dental practice and how to manage a practice. And that's what this course, this one-day intensive, is designed to do. We're going to teach your team how to run a practice, how to be proactive, not to be vague in some sort of leadership sense, but how to handle running a dental office. This is how a dental office should run. And guess what? It's fun. Like, this is not extra work for anyone on your team. People always say, like, if I have leaders on my team, I'm going to have to pay everybody more. And I'd say, absolutely not. You don't have to pay them anything more. They will be so happy to have this position because it is a fun position. You get to serve your team. You get to be part of the change. And this is what we do in the intensive. We're going to get your team really excited about that. But that thing, it is fun. But you know what else is going to happen? When you get people on your team that will lead your team in the way that it is supposed to be done, you will happily hand them out a raise before them even asking for it, because they will make your life so stinking easy, and your return on investment, your practice reaches this level of profitability that you never even thought possible with ease. Okay. So it's win-win for everybody. I don't want anyone on a team to say, well, I don't want to be a leader. That sounds like a lot of work. It's not. It's fun work. It's fulfilling work. So this is the whole thing. We want proactive team members. And I want you to think about this. Everybody who has an office manager, who says, I've got that office manager. I got an office manager, but they just don't, they're not really managing the office. They're just really busy, but they're not managing the office. I want you to think about, what is that? What do you want them to be doing that they're not doing? So let's look at this. This is a slide that came from a presentation we have a mastermind program that's a year long. And during this, we do once a month, we meet with the office managers. So this is a slide from that presentation. If you look at all the things on the left side of the column, I could point to it over here, on the left column. What are most office managers doing? Well, they're scheduling. They're working on insurance. They're answering phones. They're doing things with the collections, such as like maybe appeals. They're handling issues with patients that are upset. They're handling team questions about, maybe PTO and stuff. They're doing the payroll. They might be doing the ordering. They're managing the never-ending workload that just keeps happening in their lap. Okay, those are the things that our office managers are typically doing. But what are the things? Look at these things on the right side. These are things that we expect them to be doing, but they don't. This is the stuff we want them to be doing, but they're not. We want them to lead the team. We want them to track the numbers and look at things and notice when things are not looking right. That we want them to coach up the employees to train more people on our team, so we've got more trained people that can stop being rate limiting steps. We want them to improve on the systems and make sure our culture's in order. And if anything is threatening our culture, they're addressing it. They're holding people accountable. They're communicating what they're seeing on the front lines with you as the doctor and letting you know what's going on. But those aren't the things that they often are doing. So we say, okay, everything on the left is what our teams are usually doing. This is what the leaders in our practice are doing. But everything on the right is the things that are hard to explain and hard to articulate that we want our team to be doing. What is the difference between these two lists? Well, the left side is survive the day. The right side is grow the practice. Do we want our team members to survive the day or grow the practice? Well, we do surviving the day every day, but we just want somebody to help us grow this damn practice. We're at our end. We're out of time. We're seeing patients. Survive the day. Everything on the left, it's reactive. We got a stack of insurance payments that need to go in. We've got an upset patient. We've got a team member with a question. We've got payroll that's got to get done. We've got to order the supplies. It's all reactive. We are reacting to things and performing tasks as a reaction to something else. Everything on the right, it is proactive. We have to step out and schedule and do this without anything else happening. We're going out of our way to be proactive about the practice. Everything on the left is urgent. If these things don't get done, there is a consequence. Things are going to happen. But what about the things on the right? There's no deadline on this. If these things don't get done, nothing like really big happens. It's just a slow and steady decline into chaos and not meeting your full potential. But if you take one day off from being proactive, nothing happens. If you take a lot of days off, there's going to be some consequences. Just like if you eat a big slice of cake, you go get a milkshake. You have one milkshake, not that big a deal. But if you have a milkshake every day for the next 5 years, there's going to be effect. You're going to be able to tell. So you might be saying, okay, wait a second. What are we even talking about now, Etch? I mean, this was supposed to be a profit seminar. All right. Webinar. This is a profit webinar. Okay. Because when the leadership is done correctly and executed under the correct operating system, leadership equals profit. When the leaders improve the follow through at your practice, your schedule execution, it improves and you do more. When your leaders are tracking the key performance indicators or KPIs, these opportunities, they get found and discovered and addressed way earlier. When your leaders are helping you coach the team, when it's not just you doing it, everybody can perform better. Accountability, the systems get stuck to. When the leaders to solve the problems, I mean, this is how the doctor stops being the bottleneck. And if you're the bottleneck at your office, you might be like I was back in 2021. I mean, 9 years into practice ownership, $5 million practice at that time, just completely burnt out and not realizing how much I was the bottleneck because I didn't know how to create a proper leadership team. I didn't know how to install the proper operating system. I had to learn it, by trial and error and by struggling and thinking and planning. But we got there. And now over the past 5 years, we've learned how to translate this into other people's practices. So here's my challenge, my question to you. Please, please, please. Leadership Intensive. It's July 10th. It will be live. We will be recording it. There is the web address for it, dentalpracticeheroes.com/leadership intensive. Here is a QR code for it. If you do sign up, you got $250 off. You can use the promo code Take Action. I love people that take action. I'm going to give you the free resource in just a second for everyone who did make it live to this, but I just want to tell you about this Leadership Intensive. I think it's a great program. I love what I put together. I've done this with so many of my clients' teams, but this is the first year I've actually put it into a full day intensive. Now, it is recorded, but we want them to show up live. So we put it on a Friday. We're hoping they can show up live. If they can't make it, it is recorded. But there's something just so much more powerful about being live, even though it's virtual. We can ask questions. We get real situations. It's just more engaging. So if you have got, send me your strong team members. I'm going to bring them back to you. They will be excited. They will be ready to think and act and lead your practice like they own it, just like you. That is my promise to you. I will return your strong team members back to you, ready and excited to go. It's Friday, July 10th. It's going to be from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Central. And you might ask yourself, well, what if they're not an office manager? What if it's like, what if I don't have a dental lead? What if I don't have a hygienist lead and I don't have a hygienist or an assistant lead? It doesn't matter what position they're in. This is not going to be tailored only to leads. This is tailored to anyone who wants to step up and be a leader at the practice. I think your whole team would benefit from going to this, but don't think like just because you don't have this structure and you don't have the operating system that this isn't going to pertain to you. This is going to be skills that will work in any practice. So if you got an office manager, a department lead, or you've got just a future possible leader, that somebody on your team that you know is capable of more, this is where I'm going to help them understand what leadership actually looks like inside a dental practice, how to think proactively, how to lead with accountability, how to manage the KPIs, how to have those difficult conversations, running meetings, how to run effective meetings, how to improve the systems, make your culture stronger. And essentially what we're trying to do at the base of all this is remove you as the bottleneck, doc. Do you want to continue being the bottleneck? I don't know a single doctor that likes being that role, So the investment for this, it's $2,500 per attendee. If you are part of our year-long VIP growth membership, that's included for your entire team. This as well as 6 other seminars that we do during the year and a whole bunch of other stuff. But if you're interested in our growth program, that is dentalpracticeheroes.com/transform. Let me put that in there. I'm going to put that in the chat really fast here. Heroes.com/transform. Actually, growth. I'm sorry. It's growth. Okay. But that is our growth program. Everything would be included in there. But otherwise, you don't have to be part of the program to send your team to this. It's $2,500 an attendee. Get registered soon. You'll get to take advantage of that promo code. And it'll also give me enough time to send you the workbook, which I think is a big part of it. I want your team to, when they're watching this live, to be able to work along with it. So in conclusion, there's a lot of places that we can really improve our practice. We just got to slow down and decide what needs improving. We need to develop the problem list and just tackle them one at a time. And you can do this on your own. You can be the person this is a problem. Write it down. I'm going to fix it with this. But the thing is you're still that rate limiting step. Well, how much more effective could your practice be and how much faster could you turn it around if you had more people helping you? And I promise you, the longer you wait, the harder it is. So this is the kind of stuff that I discovered in 2021, 9 years after I owned my practice. And I think I would have had a much different life had I discovered it earlier. So this is what I'm doing for my coaching clients. It's nothing changed in my life on a personal level with my family, with my wife, with my 2 daughters, than having a leadership team. Than having like somebody handling all the day-to-day fires, somebody handling all of the team management, somebody who now, I mean, my teams, they hire, they put out the ad, they hire, they interview, they hire the people, they train them up to our standards. But this all had to be set up. We had to set all this stuff up. And that's what we do at Dental Practice Heroes. So I'm going to throw, I'm going to throw a link in the chat right now. I promised you to share that document. That is a coaching clients only document, so you won't see this anywhere else. This is that phone tree document. Please feel free to download that. look at your phone tree, look at the verbiage you're saying. I mean, one of the things in that document, you can just add it to your voicemail. This voicemail does not accept cancellations, and any cancellation with less than 48 hours business hours will be assessed a $50, $75 charge, whatever you're saying. I assure you, just adding that to your voicemail for when you're closed will make a difference. But there's a lot more of those little tips in those. So that document's there. All right. So that is it for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for coming. I wanted this to be 40 minutes. I went over an hour. Thank you, guys. It looks like we retained everybody who came. That's pretty awesome. But yeah, if you got a question, I will hang around a little bit. Throw it up in the chat. If you do want to come to the stage, you are invited as well. But I know that's kind of scary for everybody. But yeah, throw it in the chat. I'll hang around just a few more minutes. If you scan this QR code that's on the screen right now, you do get the promo code is already attached, and that would be good all the way until Friday. If for some reason you register for this course and you wanted to get the deal before Friday and you put it in there, and then in the next 2 weeks before the course, you ended up joining our growth program, the full program that, includes coaching calls, quarterly coaching calls. You're working with me and Henry every single month. We're working together. We're having guest speakers, different workshops. We're working with your team. There's a lot to it. We're doing 3 in-person retreats a year. Those are awesome, and they're so much fun. If you listen to this podcast, I just assume you're a lot of fun. I haven't yet to meet anyone that listens to this podcast that's not a lot of fun, or just not a very similar person. I think that's one of the beautiful things of the podcast is people that like listening to this podcast are all kind of similar. We just get along well. I think that's just how it works. When you have a podcast, you tend to draw people like you. So I don't see any questions in the chat, so I'm going to wrap it up here. But thank you so much, guys, for coming to listen. I really appreciate it. We want to help you, so let us know how we can do that. If you know any of your friends, any other dental colleagues that you think could be helped by this, please let them know about us. This is obviously, it costs money. It's an investment, and our coaching is not free by any means, but it is ultimately a labor of love. I love doing it, and I have found so much fulfillment in just helping other practice owners achieve what I've achieved as far as life balance and income. And I like to think at some level, like I'm helping create people that are better spouses, better parents, by helping them, teaching them these things, and helping them, holding them accountable and supporting them through the transitions in their practice. And it's just so much fun for me. It really is. It's so satisfying for me to do it. So, I'm going to wrap it up, guys. I'm just blabbing. Thank you so much for coming. Hope you guys are enjoying your summer. We have another webinar, I think, coming up next month. Make sure you download the Dental Practice Heroes app so you can stay in touch with everything that we're doing. And everybody just have a fantastic night. I appreciate you guys so much. Take care.